everyone, welcome back to ONYX Pages. I hope you're doing well and that you are enjoying the turquoise season of videos. So this is my March wrap up. Things have gotten quite busy. Lots going on in life, and it has resulted in it being very difficult for me to find time to read and time to record. But I did make a commitment to myself in the beginning of 2026 that no matter what, I would still try to keep up with giving you content, giving myself primarily the pleasure of doing something fun, even while there's a lot going on. So I get a lot of pleasure from doing these videos, and so here I am, despite it being a challenging time. So in the month of March, I read one book. I read The Best of All Possible Worlds by Karen Lord. And this is the third time I think I've read this book. And for reasons that will be announced at some point, I am going through Karen Lord's, all the books that she's written. For many of these books, it'll be at least the second time that I've read them. And for one, The Galaxy Game, which I'll talk about in next month's wrap up, it'll be the first time that I read it. So basically, in The Best of All Possible Worlds, and I think I've mentioned this in some of the other videos that you would have seen in March, we are following, like, our main character is, there are two different points of view. One is Grace Delarua and the other is Glennock. So we first meet Glennock, who is off meditating somewhere by himself. He's in a monastery, only to find out that his homeland has basically been attacked and destroyed. And we find that out like right at the beginning. And then we meet Grace Delarua, who is, I forget her role. She's like either a science officer or works for the government or something like that. But she works for the government of Cygnus Beta. And she is drafted to be part of this crew that is going to help the all of the people who have been displaced from Sidira as a result of this attack, right? They are called the Sidiri. She's going to be a part of this crew to figure out where they can now settle, because we have all of these refugees who can't go back to their homeland, Glennock being one of them. And so Glennock, who is sort of an elder, he is also part of this crew. So him and a couple of other Sidiri are part of the crew. And then there are a couple of others they're all human, but they're sort of different peoples. And they form this crew, and they travel from place to place, meeting different communities of people who have ancestry that is of a similar strain to the Sidirans, to help figure out where the Sidiri can settle and replenish their population. And so Cygnus Beta is it's a place where there are a lot of different like collections of people for a variety of different reasons. So in this book, we meet all these different communities of people. We learn about the different cultures. We learn about the different values and customs, the different terrain. And we learn about the growing relationship between Grace and Glennock as they travel together, trying to sort of figuring out where the Sidiri will find themselves, where they'll settle. And what I liked about this was, because this is basically like, in a lot of ways, it's a long road trip. We see, like, it seems like Karen Lord would have had a lot of fun writing all of these different communities with their different pastimes and traditions and spiritual practices and ecosystems. Like, there's a group that would have lived totally underground. There's another group that parties a lot. There's a group that lives in this like secret monastery place. There's all sorts of different communities. There's a society that's completely matriarchal. The Sidiri are patriarchal. So that's interesting to see how they interact. So I really enjoyed just getting back into the world, learning more about Grace, seeing her relationship grow, learning about Grace Delarue's family. We get to meet her nephew, Rafi, and we get to meet her sister and her sister's husband, who live in another part. So Grace goes to visit them at one point, and so we learn about Grace's family. We also learn about Grace's skill. She is part Entishune, and the Entishune have the ability to affect people's emotions, and so she's got like some psychic abilities. So we learn a little bit about that, and it's just like, it's humorous, it's fun, it's complex, because as the Sidiri are trying to figure out where they're going to live and who they're going to be and how they're going to replenish themselves, they have to face a lot of questions about the way that they've lived their lives. They have to heal. They have to deal with the fact that they're no longer the primary society and the primary people, because they've basically been decimated. Like, there's all sorts of things happening. And then in the background, we have this like political turmoil and conflict between a number of different peoples on different planets. So there's just a lot going on as we try to figure out what the Sidiri are going to do. And I enjoyed it. I read it slowly. I hybrid read it, so I was listening to it as an audiobook as well as reading it with my eyes, and I enjoyed it. It was a very, very slow read because, again, I kept on putting it down because of life, but it was really enjoyable. So that was what I read in the month of March. Apparently one book, I think I gave it on Storygraph, I think I gave it 4 out of 5. I haven't done any Cowrie reviews yet. And it was 265 pages. So that was basically all I read in the month of March. I'm filming this in April, at the end of April, and I will be at some point completing my April wrap up. But I will say that I am feeling like, in terms of my reading mood, and I will probably film a Q1 wrap up, just looking at all of the books I've read in Q1 and maybe ranking them just to get a head start on my end of year rankings. But I was thinking that in my Q1 wrap up, so what I read in January, February, and March, that I want to talk a little bit about my moods. So my reading moods, like, what have I wanted to read? Why have I wanted to read those books? Like, what I'm hoping to get, like, what has reading with purpose look like in the first 3 months of the year? And this is where I need your help, because I don't think that I've done quarterly wrap-ups before. I don't think so. But as I mentioned, this is my 9th year on BookTube. And as I get to the 10-year anniversary of this channel, I'm going to be thinking about how to make content creation more sustainable for me. I don't have any plans of shutting down the channel because it brings a lot of purpose and joy to my life. But also I have different kinds of like responsibilities and demands on my time. So I'm in a pretty reflective mood, and will likely be for the next couple of years as it comes to ONYX pages, to kind of think of like, how do I want to create content, and what kind of content creation rituals, sustainable rituals I can get myself involved in and commit to. So what I was thinking about quarterly wrap-ups is, what do I want these quarterly wrap-ups to include? So what would you want to hear from me as far as quarterly wrap-ups are concerned? I think, for one, I definitely want to rank the books that I've read in the 3 months of the quarter. Number 2, I also want to reflect on how I have read with purpose during the quarter. So did I find myself reading more horror books, more gothic stuff? I'm just thinking about what I've read in the past couple of months, and maybe why that is, or maybe what I've learned. If I take all the books together and think about them collectively, what have I learned from what I've read? How has it impacted me? What did reading with purpose look like in the past 3 months? So I'm thinking about something like that. But I also would like to know from you, what would you want to hear from me about in my quarterly wrap-ups, in addition to, or as an alternative to, what I've already said? Okay, so that is it for now. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. And if you have watched this all the way to the end, I would love, what would I love? I would love some means of transportation and a road emoji, because the best of all, and a world, because the best of all possible worlds feels like a road trip between worlds. And also, if you have read the best of all possible worlds, I would love to know what you thought of it, and why you thought that of it, who your favorite characters were, what your favorite moments were. That would be really cool. I have to say, before I go, I think that Grace Delarua is like, she's not the most likable character, but I definitely feel some affection towards her as a character. And I really like watching her, because in some ways it's billed as a bit of a romance, but I think the romance is in the background. But I really like the way Grace notices Glennock throughout the story, and how she kind of tumbles into realizing that she likes him. And I think he tumbles into that himself. And it's kind of interesting because the Sidiri are not emotional. I liken them to the Vulcans in Star Trek. So they're not super emotional. And of course, Grace is quite emotional and intuitive and emotive. And it's really interesting to see them interact with each other. And it's interesting to see how she finds a way to connect with this very stoic old man. So, and I loved that the first time I read the book, and I like it now. So, and there's lots of cool tech as well. Yeah, now I'm rambling because I already finished this video. So remember to read with purpose. Thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Okay, bye.